Always live and always wild. Hi everyone and welcome to the Africam show. I'm so excited to start off at Old Donyo, where we've got some lovely giraffe. I love the angle of this camera. It's right on the ground, so we get this view of animals that we don't ordinarily get at any of the other cams. I love it. You know, it is a fan favorite, and I hate to pick favorites, but Old Donyo is right up there. Anyway, it's me, Trishala. Welcome on board. So glad to be here. I always look forward to spending my Tuesday afternoons and my Thursday afternoons with you, whether it's for the Africam show or for Wild Moments. It's like a little friend meeting, all us wildlife enthusiasts coming together. Well, if this is the first time that you're joining us, the Africam show is an opportunity to move through the different cameras together with a guide or a ranger with you. So you can ask any questions and send me any comments that you like. You know how much I love to hear from all of you. Have to know whether you're drinking coffee, whether you've got a Diet Coke from Kalamazoo, or like me, you're just having a glass of water. Already, Suki V in the UK says, hi to all, thanks to the team for this glorious summer UK day today. Oh, and you're off to South Africa on the 27th. Very, very nice. And on your way to the wildlife via Cape Town first. Well, I'm sitting in Cape Town right now. That is very exciting, Sukivi. Very, very exciting. The most beautiful thing about the Africams is that regardless of where you are in the world, you have the opportunity to escape into wildlife, African wildlife for a little bit. And it makes our wilderness here in Africa more accessible to people around the world. And if you're lucky enough, like Suki V, to make a trip down here to Africa, to Southern Africa specifically, or to East Africa, where we have the Old Donyo camp, you will not regret it. Zygote, you say namaste, and namaste to you too, Zygote. Thank you for joining us as usual. Dear NC, you say good morning from Seattle, and you've got a sunny face too. You say you're ready with your coffee. Good to hear it. My goodness, 8 giraffes right now. Oh, I'm just going to be quiet for a moment. As they're walking, you can hear it. Can you hear those footsteps? Sorry, 7 giraffe. I love listening out to those kinds of things. Amberco, you say happy Tuesday from Colorado. You've got your coffee and your yogurt. Oh, I love the combinations. Rolling Trouble, you say hi Trishala. You've got your coffee and water here. So many ways to enjoy the African bush together. Kauru, you say hi Trishala. Hi Kauru. Aussie Jan too, good afternoon. You've got your coffee, of course. Grumpy old man, you say it's her, Trishala. It's me. Marie Claude, you say good afternoon from France. Good afternoon to you, Marie. You know, whenever I have the opportunity to watch giraffes in person at a waterhole, I have to be very, very quiet. Not only do I have to be very quiet, I've got to be very lucky as well. Because if a giraffe is like this, ready to drink at the water's edge, and I drive up with my game drive vehicle, I will most definitely disturb them. And so it feels a little bit odd for me that I'm speaking loudly while watching these giraffes tip their head to quench their thirst. Ordinarily, I'd be sitting very silently, trying not to move, trying not to draw attention to myself. Because the slightest sound or movement will throw giraffes off. It's such a compromising position for them. If you can see the way that their legs are positioned, their necks are so long that they've got to splay their legs in that way. And that, plus the tilting of the head, means that they're in increasingly compromising position in the event that there is a predator nearby. So they're extra cautious. Trainer Matt 51, you say, good morning, Trishala from North Carolina, USA. You've got iced coffee today. Oh, I'm a big fan of iced coffee. Good to hear it. Rolling Trouble, you say you do a chair dance to the opening music. I guess I do a little bit of a dance as well. I really like the opening title sequence for the Africam show. Jan Powers, you say hello from a hot Arizona with lots of water in hand. I know this may sound like a bit of a weird thing, but when I see animals enjoying water in a pan, or at a pan rather, especially those animals that are ordinarily quite nervous, like giraffe, and we have the opportunity to see them very relaxed here, it makes me want to have a drink in their honor as well. I mean, a glass of water or a water bottle. Just makes me feel a lot more appreciative of a good glass of water. Steve Swanson, you say hi to all from Clearwater, Florida. It's raining at the moment. I'm sure it's still warm though. I love that kind of warm day with rain. David A. McLaughlin, you say hi from Debs and Dave in rainy Scotland. Hello. So many of you joining us this afternoon, and also so many hellos. I love to collect the hellos. I haven't seen Durrell's name yet. See, I'm getting used to all your names. Kara, that's an interesting question. You'd like to know if they can't hear before lifting their head. They can definitely hear before lifting their head. That doesn't stop happening. But even if they can hear an approaching predator, they're not able to move very quickly from this compromising position. So even though that is valuable information to be able to hear a predator approaching, you're still going to be starting from behind because you're not already upright and ready to run. But also remember that we know that the animal's senses are compromised just by tipping down their head, and that goes for all animals at a waterhole, not only giraffe. But if you think about it, if all these receivers of the environment are situated on your head, so your sense of smell, your sense of being able to see and being able to hear, all of that is focused around your head, and now that whole head is tipped downwards. So that means that what you're going to smell is whatever's closest to your nose. We've just swapped over now to the Black Eagle cam. I'm just going to finish up that thought. Your ears, you're going to be listening, you're going to be hearing the water that you're drinking, you're going to be smelling the water you're drinking, and you're going to be seeing the water you're drinking. So how much you can collect information-wise from your environment becomes limited. Look at this kiddo, all grown up, or growing up. I'm not sure if I'm seeing bits of the nest there, or whether I'm actually seeing some of those feathers coming through and replacing the down. Hopefully it moves around and we'll be able to see. Trainer Matt 51, you say you love the giraffes. I know, and so many of them all together from that angle. And Rolling Trouble, you say you love how they drink. It's quite a spectacle to watch. So those are dark feathers. When it's moving around, you can see that this little black eagle chick has now started to replace its downy covering with some actual feathers. And that's exactly what we'd expect around this time. We'd also expect to see it feeding on its own, but we can see that its parent is still ripping the meat for it. But I just want to see if it's actually handing it to the little one. Yep. You should be feeding yourself by now. Whenever we talk about milestones in the life histories of any animals, those are always approximate figures. So we know by about 6 weeks it should be self-feeding, but that doesn't mean that every time it's going to be. It doesn't mean that it's not going to take it easy if its parent is around and is shredding its prey for it. Because at the end of the day, it all comes down to, well, two things when it comes to development. One, what's easier right now? Well, the parent is there, so it's easier to take shredded meat from its parent. And two, just because they should have the ability to do something doesn't mean that they will do it all the time. So it's always something to keep in mind. But the mottled kind of brown feathers are just right on time. We expect to see that around 7 weeks old. And in the coming few weeks, by about 9 weeks, we should see most of the upper parts of this chick feathered. So that means that that white down will be replaced. Bob from Kalamazoo, you're back. Say good day, Trish. You're a little late today. That's okay, Bob. I'm glad that you joined us. Rolling Trouble, you say, woohoo, it's getting so big and more black too. Yes, very dark feathers coming in, just as we expect. All right, we've moved across to Tembe now, where we have some Impala. They look pretty relaxed. All of them have their heads down, again, thinking about senses. When you're alert, I mean, just think about yourself. You know, when you're alert, you're definitely not looking at the ground. And that's even though you can still hear, etc. So if an animal's got their head down and they look pretty busy, if they're feeding, you can make a safe assumption that they are feeling relaxed. That doesn't mean that there isn't a predator around, though. Trainer Matt 51, you'd like to know who would be, so Trainer Matt's talking about the giraffe that we saw earlier at Old Donyo, or within that context. You want to know what would be a predator for a healthy giraffe. Lions. So many a time I have seen lions with a giraffe. I've seen them hunting a giraffe only once, as in actually seen the hunt. I've seen them with the giraffe kill many times, but actually seen them chasing a giraffe once. And what they will do, and it doesn't matter if it's a sick giraffe, I mean, if it's a sick or injured giraffe, great, it's probably going to be easier for those lions to hunt it, but a healthy giraffe, to Trainer Matt 51, and the way that they will do that is that we'll chase the giraffe and try to get it to trip. And ordinarily they'll try to chase it into some kind of like a drainage or dry riverbed, or even if we look here, these what did we name them? These elephant holes. You can't see my fingers, but I'm going elephant holes, like little bunny ears. Inverted commas. There we go. These, if they had to chase a giraffe through here, this would be very good for the lions because they could force the giraffe to step into these holes here at Tembe and trip. So any kind of change in the landscape that would require some quick thinking by a running animal or running giraffes specifically, lions will use that to their advantage to try and get a giraffe to trip. And that's especially useful with giraffe, or for giraffe, because they are not as athletic or nimble as, say, these impala here. Speaking of, this giraffe has come late to the show, much like Bob from Kalamazoo. Oh, you're getting all the shout-outs today, Bob. Look how extra cautious, even though this giraffe is, I'm sure, very used to this waterhole, still approaching with caution. It will look carefully from side to side before it proceeds. Yay. We've just moved over to Katmai pan now. We've got a Hammerkop. I do love a Hammerkop. Also because we don't get to, or at least when we're doing the Africam show, we don't get to see them very much. And now this one is hiding behind those reeds. Show yourself, Hammerkop. While we wait for the Hammerkop to show itself, let me just give you a couple comments. Amber Co, talking about the black eagle chick that we were looking at, she's saying, "You sure wish the eaglet would move to the middle of the nest." I know. We always hope that animals will, for example, not stand behind the reeds or behind branches, so that we could actually see them. Rolling Trouble, you say the impala remind you of deer in the US. Well, they both are ungulates, but that's much the extent of their relations. There we go. Thank you. Now, when you're watching Hammerkop, especially if they're on the move, there's the potential for so much because they can be really active hunters. The amount of times where I'm seeing a Hammerkop from the distance, and then I get closer, and almost always it's got something in its mouth or is about to have something in its mouth. Generally, frogs are at the top of their lists. There it goes. Now I know it's a little bit difficult to actually, oh there we go, now you can see why it's called a Hammerkop. Up and down it goes, and when it just lifted its head up there for a moment, you could see the hammer shape of the head. It's just popped down. That was very, very cool. No, oh, I thought I saw something again, but no, it's not. Back to Old Donyo, and our giraffe is still being very cautious. Giraffe always look extra anxious. It almost looks as if they've got a bit of social anxiety. If there's other animals at the waterhole, they kind of stand back and watch everybody else, trying to plan how they're going to make their way into the social gathering. Hi, David A. McLaughlin. You'd like to know, do giraffes live in hierarchical herds? So giraffes have what's the best way to describe this? So we call it a fission-fusion society, but the relationship between individuals, and specifically hierarchies, are a lot more nuanced, in my opinion at least, than any of the other herd animals. And I say that because they don't live in specific herds. The only time you're really bound to see giraffes together are mothers and their offspring, or a mother and an offspring. Giraffe mothers don't have to stick together. Sometimes it's just a single mother and their offspring. Sometimes it's a group of them. Sometimes several offspring will be left with one mother. It's a very, very loose kind of social structure. Now, as far as we know, within the females in an area, there's no hierarchy, as far as we know. I say as far as we know because we're still learning so much about giraffe. We know that they communicate infrasonically, so that means that they communicate on a wavelength or a frequency that is much lower than our hearing threshold. Now, if somebody, or not somebody, if a species is communicating in a way that is below our threshold, and that frequency of sound travels further, because the waves are quite long and large, that would mean that they need to communicate over large distances. So that's my understanding as somebody who has worked in science, and that if something exists a certain way, there must be a reason that it exists a certain way. And if they're communicating in that way, that must mean that they're keeping in touch over long distances. So even if they're not in specific tight herds, like we see with many other herd animals, and there isn't a specific hierarchy that we know of, could there still be one over a larger distance? That's why I say I think that their relationships between individuals is, particularly with the females that we don't know as much about, that it is a little bit more nuanced. But with the males, giraffe bulls, there does exist a hierarchy. Again, that hierarchy exists over quite a large distance. Because they have these fission-fusion societies, they come in together sometimes, they move out together individually at times. There's no strict herd structure. But even so, within a giraffe's home range, there will be a dominant bull that is more dominant than the rest, and then there will be others that are less dominant than the most dominant bull, but more dominant than, say, the other 10 bulls in the area. You get what I'm saying? So there is a hierarchy, and how dominant a bull in an area is reflected in his testosterone production. And his testosterone production, as well as the production of other sex hormones or androgens, influence his melanin production. So the more dominant individuals in an area tend to be darker. I'm sorry, that came out a lot more long-winded than I expected. It's just that with giraffes and hierarchies, I think it's a very interesting discussion. Because there's, we once thought there were these silent animals that just kind of roam around alone, but actually, you can find them in large groups, and they actually do communicate. And on top of that, when scientists first saw really dark giraffe bulls, it was only associated with age. So even, up until 20 years ago, we were learning that as giraffes get older, they get darker. But it's not the case. Yes, as they get older, they do get darker, but their darkness is not a result of getting older, it's a result of dominance. Now, as a giraffe gets older, it's more likely to become dominant in an area as older dominant bulls die, or as they move up in rank because they become larger. So we're always learning about giraffes. And for me, they still feel like a little bit of a mystery, and I love it. They also possess so many unique characteristics. Things that we really don't don't find all put into one animal anywhere else. Giraffes are related to okapis, but even still they look very different. The long tongue, the anatomy of the skull, the cushioning around, well, not really cushioning, but network of vessels around the neck and the brain, the rete mirabile. It's just a network of vessels. It's sometimes called a blood sponge, but I don't like that reference. All these things to help it survive, help it to exist with a long neck. And so this long neck seems to have driven so many other unique adaptations, unique features rather, for a giraffe. It must be said though that other antelope also have that rete mirabile, or that blood sponge. It just works in a slightly different way. For a giraffe, or for any of the animals, it works to kind of distribute pressure and the blood around the neck brain area. In some animals, like in bull sharks, that rete mirabile can actually produce heat, which I think is amazing. I feel like the giraffe heard me and was staring at me, or at us rather. Bill Grooms, welcome on board. Let's say greetings to everyone, and greetings to you. You've hopped on for the last few minutes, but better late than never. Grumpy old man, you say no deer in Africa, the tigers ate them all. Yes, that's obviously what happened, grumpy old man. I like your sense of humor. I do. I'm always amazed at the amount of giraffe that we see here at Old Donyo. We saw 7 earlier, and now these 4. I don't think these are the same individuals. These patterns are obviously unique to each individual, and not that I am got some photographic memory, but they moved off in the other direction, and these sort of came through from another. So these are separate individuals. So already altogether we've seen 11 giraffes during the Africam show today. I wonder if we could have, we've just got 2 minutes left together, but if we could have a close look at the oxpeckers that are on this giraffe. Oh, and of course the giraffe decides to move. You're standing so still, it would have been perfect for us to have a good look at the red-billed oxpeckers that are clinging on to the necks of these giraffes. Steve Swanson, you'd like to know what the bluebirds that just flew in and are on the left of the frame. I know which ones you're talking about. They look like starlings. I wouldn't be able to tell you which one. But always that iridescent, very bright, vibrant blue is usually a giveaway, because there aren't very many other birds that have that same kind of blue. Well, thank you, Karu. Greater blue-eared starlings. Well, they're not my favorite starling. My favorite starling is the Birchall starling, but same, that iridescent blue is a giveaway. The glossy starlings are really, really beautiful. Ooh, Stitcher you're starting a whole nother discussion, and we're out of time, but I'm going to try very quickly. You say, it's fascinating how awkward giraffes become when they drink. Is it possible they evolved to drink from something that no longer exists, so now they have to bend down? I understand what you're thinking. Now, my thinking, or my understanding of this awkwardness that giraffes have to put up with, and these various adaptations, for me it's all about how can they accommodate that neck. And the neck is a tool for them to fight with. So it became, when you see this a lot, where there's one dominant trait that for some reason really increases an animal's chance of reproduction and survival. Now for giraffes, swinging the neck and necking, that may have been the trigger, the catalyst for emphasis on the neck in terms of natural selection. Emphasis on longer neck, stronger neck. And I think that everything else just kind of fitted in to accommodate the growing, heavy, big, long neck of a giraffe. And the rest of the body just had to make do. Isn't this beautiful? Oh, this is lovely. I think this is a great way, Stitcher. That's a fabulous discussion, and hopefully we'll get to talk about it more, because that's the exact type of thing that I love to chat about. But we are out of time. This is a beautiful scene to end with. Thank you so, so much, everybody. I love spending this time with you. Thanks for your questions and your comments. And I hope your smile is bigger than when you started off. All right. Bye for now.